Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode in a brand new season of our F1 2021 My Driver career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day and I hope you're ready for this new beginning here with this McLaren Vodafone racing team here. And now as we have had a lot of team changes, livery changes, a few roster moves as well, and if you want to get updated on what this upcoming season looks like in terms of the schedule with the changes there and all the team and roster and livery changes, go into the last episode to check out the off-season updates there now, as most notably Sergio Perez has retired from Formula 1 and he was replaced by Lando Norris. So we come into this McLaren Vodafone team and replace Lando Norris, the defending Formula 1 World Drivers Champion now. So we're going to be teammates alongside Daniel Ricciardo. Norris was looking for a new challenge and decided to go to that Red Bull Racing team here. We'll see how that move works out for him as he goes up against, in my opinion, the most talented driver currently on the Formula 1 roster, and that's Max Verstappen. So he is going to have one tough task to be successful with Red Bull Racing. Alright boys, a brand new beginning for me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Let's make it count. There you hear myself on the radio to our brand new team now as we were ready to get our first laps under our belt here in the official season other than preseason testing here in Bahrain. Now in practice, it was pretty smooth. I was happy with how the car felt. It was definitely a little slidey at times. The back end was kind of kicking out here and there and I was messing with the differential and whatnot, and overall the cars still like to kick out quite a bit here on the exit of some of these corners. So that was a little bit of an adapting time for me now, but we would get pretty up to speed relatively quick here with this McLaren Vodafone car now as we are going up against a multi-time winner in Formula 1, of course, of Daniel Ricciardo. We've won 2 GPs ourselves in our career coming into this 4th season, both with Aston Martin in Season 2. We won a GP in Mexico and we won a GP last season in Season 3 in France here. Now, as you can see in practice, we rounded off the grid there in P10. So we had a little bit of work to do here going into qualifying, but overall I was relatively happy with the lap time that we had set. So we come through into this first qualifying session. It should be a breeze to get into Q1, into Q2, Q3. It's going to be interesting because you continue to see as these episodes go on in this F1 2021 career mode that the R&D gets closer and closer with a lot of these teams, and that means the times are getting a lot closer. So you can really be the best car and be down in 9th or 10th place in Q2 or something, but we cruised into Q2 no problem whatsoever there. P10 though, 5 spots behind our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo. The Audi cars, you see the Alfa Romeo name, those are now the Audi Sport team. You can see that Guan Yu Zhou was able to move on, and then the Williams Porsche team, another new team as well to the Formula 1 this season, and don't forget Haas in their partnership with Maserati. So it'll be interesting to see how those 3 new partnership teams do with Williams Porsche and then Audi as well as Haas Maserati. Like I said, now as we came through to set our lap here in Q2, we were currently P4, but I had to go out and make another lap at the end of the session because I was only in 10th place by the time we come through to these final moments here of qualifying session number 2, and I did improve my lap. We found about another 3.5 to 4 tenths of a second just about here. I kind of lost a little bit of time but gained it on the exit of that final turn, so 4 tenths of a second better. Will it be enough? We go P5, but it actually surprisingly was not enough. We are eliminated from Q3 as we missed it by 1/1000th of a second. You gotta be kidding me. So we're gonna start P11 on the grid, but at the same time that could be an advantage to us because we can now do a 1-stop strategy while everybody else in front of us has to do a 2-stop. Let's head to the grid.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. Formula 1 returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities. It could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some points during the Grand Prix. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. They've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, and Hamilton, Tsunoda, Leclerc, Sainz, and Antonio Giovinazzi. The Golden Boy, Vettel, George Russell and Ocon, Joe, Latifi, Callum Ilott and Christian Lundgaard. Mick Schumacher and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Max Verstappen and Lando Norris make up the front row here now as we are ready to get underway for this Bahrain GP race number 1 on the season here now as we start P11 right in a good position here to put on that medium compound tire and put ourselves into a one-stop strategy while everybody else in front of us on the soft compound has to do a two-stop. And our former teammate right there at Aston Martin, Sebastian Vettel, he starts P12, he's on the medium compound as well, so expect a one-stop strategy from Sebastian Vettel here as we were ready to go. Lights out here. The Red Bull duo, Verstappen and Norris on the front row now as they are ready to tango down into turn 1. Lights out and we are underway. Gasly gets a tremendous start in the AlphaTauri and he is going to lunge to the left-hand side. They're going to be 3 wide already as they head down towards turn 1. They're actually going to be 4 wide in the background for second, and Verstappen lunges up the inside of Gasly there as he had a little bit of a contact, I think, there with Lando Norris into turn 1, his new Red Bull Racing teammate, but they all hold on and it's a great start for our Australian teammate of Daniel Ricciardo here. He finds himself 3 wide into the right-hander, but after all of that mess, Daniel Ricciardo gets up into the side-by-side battle for second place with Max Verstappen here as they head through the S's now. Not a position where you want to be side-by-side here now, but Ricciardo goes into second place. Now Norris lunges back up the inside of Verstappen. Pierre Gasly leads the GP on the first lap. Verstappen holds on to P3. Norris drops into 4th place, and then you got the Mercedes duo of Hamilton and Bottas there down in 5th and 6th position. You could not ask for a better start if you're Daniel Ricciardo or Pierre Gasly here now as they find themselves P1, P2 at the end of this first lap, or halfway through this first lap only. As you can see there, Ferrari of Leclerc and Sainz, and then you got Sebastian Vettel. Unfortunately, it was not a very good start for myself. I started P11, I dropped down 2 positions behind Vettel into 13th place behind George Russell there in the Alpine. So we had some work to do here. Now let's take a quick look at that restart, or that original start here now, as Pierre Gasly just was able to get off the grid so well and just charges to the lead. And there you see now they were going to go 4 wide for second place. Ricciardo lunges it up the inside, and there you saw some contact between Norris and that push Verstappen up the inside of Gasly. Somehow everybody avoids damage and they all keep it clean here now as Ricciardo decided he was going to scrap it out. He goes up the inside of Verstappen, but then Norris, he would just sail it up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. A very aggressive move, and it didn't really work out for him. He had to back up pretty quick, but these two would continue wheel-to-wheel. Former Red Bull Racing teammates Ricciardo and Verstappen are, and look at them go wheel-to-wheel like that, but it would work out for Ricciardo here now as I was all over the back now of Sebastian Vettel and George Russell here at the end of this first lap, and I was trying to make a 3-wide lunge down into the right-hander, but I knew it wasn't going to favor me very well. A little bit of contact on the side pod of Russell. They continue side by side in front of us. The action in these first couple of laps very high here now as Vettel is still battling it out with George Russell. Russell ahead now as they head down into the right-hander. Contact between Vettel, who runs into the back of George Russell. He gets wing damage here now, and that's going to be a huge hit to the 4-time world champion here now as we're going to be side by side. Vettel's still not going to give up the track position. He runs me a little bit wide right there, a little bit roughed up by Sebastian Vettel, and I kind of did that to myself there, trying to force it around the outside when he had wing damage. Probably wasn't the best move. Fortunately, we didn't damage the car in that moment, and now we're going to run Sebastian down again. No problem, nearly into the back of him, but we're going to cruise by on the left-hand side. He would have to pit immediately following this second lap. It was now starting to spice up for the lead too, coming to lap 4 with DRS enabled at this point. Ricciardo's going to make a move up the inside of Pierre Gasly for the lead into turn 1 here as the Australian tries to go and run away with his Bahrain GP right off the bat after an epic start for both him and Gasly, but Pierre will hold on for the time being, and Daniel Ricciardo just didn't quite have enough right there to fight back. So another lap later though, Ricciardo learning from his mistakes, he's going to go around the outside into turn 1 this time with the DRS helping him get alongside that AlphaTauri, and this this time Ricciardo goes through on lap 5 to take the lead of the Bahrain GP, and he is going to try to run away with that lead here. Now was focused back on us here on lap 6. I was starting to close in on George Russell here. The medium compound tire was starting to shift in my advantage compared to those soft tires in front of us with Russell and Giovinazzi and whatnot here. Now as Yuki Tsunoda had already come into the pit lane at the end of lap 6, and I cruised right on past George Russell there with the ERS on overtake and DRS of course activated. So we move up into P10 for the time being here now, but I know we've got a great opportunity to get a really good finish here today just because of the one-stop strategy advantage that we have. There's a C Williams Porsche rookie of Christian Lundgaard scrapping it out with the brand new Audi team and driver of Callum Ilott here now, as Ilott has not had the most memorable F1 career in this career mode so far here. Now is Ricciardo Verstappen on lap 8 as well as Lewis Hamilton. They were all coming into the pit lane for the medium compound tire, as well as Charles Leclerc comes in. He's going to throw the medium compound tire on. So that puts them into one more pit stop strategy here. Norris would come in the following lap and he would bring Valtteri Bottas, Carlos Sainz, as well as Antonio Giovinazzi in that Aston Martin, who replaces us, of course, after we left to go to McLaren. Giovinazzi actually puts on his second set of soft tires, so a bit of a different strategy for him. He's going to end the race on a bit more of a harder compound tire, probably on the medium, while everybody else is going to be trying to end it on a soft compound tire after switching to the medium on their first stop. So we were now leading this GP because we hadn't had to pit yet, and we could stay out for a little bit longer now as we come through on lap 10. Guan Yu Zhou actually had a bit of a spin here in the final turn, so struggling maybe to adapt to this new Audi car as he's used to, of course, the Andretti car, and this was originally the Alfa Romeo team here. Now, as you can see, Lando Norris now putting the fight to Max Verstappen on lap 12. He's going to go up the inside, but they continue to scrap it out wheel to wheel, and Verstappen holds on, but Norris will still have the advantage of DRS down the straightaway as they head down towards that right-hander. Once again, a move up the inside from the British driver, and I think it's going to go in the way of Lando Norris, who continues to put his teammate of Verstappen under pressure, as these are two one-time world champions now going at it. Norris being the defending champion, Verstappen being the Season 2 World Drivers Champion here in this career mode, but Lando Norris takes over the position and gets ahead of his brand new Red Bull Racing teammate of Max Verstappen. Is he adapting to this new Red Bull car better than Verstappen is? It certainly seems like it so far. As we come through to lap 12, I was planning to make my pit stop at this point here, and at the end of lap 13, I would come in. So just a one-stop strategy for us. We hold on to the lead for the time being, and we're going to put on that hard compound tire, which even means with this fresh rubber, we're probably still going to be slower than these drivers like Ricciardo on the medium compound because their tires really were still pretty fresh. So I wasn't quite sure where we were going to cycle out at the end of this whole pit cycle, but we'll find out here momentarily now. As on this pit cycle, though, it looks like we're going to be finding ourselves just behind Yuki Tsunoda, as we will be in the 8th position. Giovinazzi as well as Carlos Sainz round out the top 10 behind us. Giovinazzi still on that soft compound. He'll have to pit a lot earlier than Carlos Sainz does in that Ferrari, but we were able to get out just barely in front of them, and that could be crucial to stay in front of these two now, as we don't have to make those 2 extra passes there, as Giovinazzi has a bit of a run at us, but I was able to use enough overtake mode there with that battery to stay ahead here now, as we were just waiting for this pit cycle to set itself, and hopefully we would cycle out towards a podium position after everybody did their second pit stop here. And now as we come through to lap 17, Yuki Tsunoda back into the pit lane there on that medium compound tire. He's been pitting earlier than everybody all GP long so far, but so far it's putting him in a position where he's going to get some decent points here today. But then lap 19, Daniel Ricciardo comes in along with Pierre Gasly there in that AlphaTauri. So where will Ricciardo exit here? Is he going to be ahead of us or is he going to be behind us? Originally, when he made his first pit stop, he was behind us. So we'll see if we can once again cycle out in front of him for the time being. But we were coming through down the front straightaway right now to cross the line, and Ricciardo is going to be out in front of us here on the faster and fresher medium compound. So I already knew that any chance of winning this GP had come to an end right there, unless of course Ricciardo has some type of mechanical issue, but we're still going to be looking at maybe even a second place finish here if we don't have any safety car to throw a bit of a curveball at us now, because here comes Bottas and Norris. They had come in along with Verstappen, had already pitted as well, and we cycled through into second place with taking one less pit stop with this strategy. So missing Q3 is kind of an advantage in Bahrain, especially when you can qualify P11, the first car that missed it. Ricciardo has had more pace than us all weekend, but we're at least making a very, very nice rebound here of running P2 in these closing laps.
Okay, there appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Where have I heard that before? I swear if we lose an engine in race number 1 with this brand new team, a part of the reason I wanted to get away from Aston Martin was because of the reliability issues that we faced many times throughout last season with I don't know how many DNFs, but I mean more times than not. When you get that message from Jeff, usually it's not going to be too much of a concern, but last season, pretty much every time he told us, our engine ended up failing, and here we are potentially giving up a second place finish, and yes, we are giving up a second place finish because in the first race of the season in the Bahrain GP, our engine has failed, and we are going to be retiring here in race number 1 with this McLaren team. Yep, the engine's gone. I'm sorry guys, I mean, nothing I can do, but wow. What a way to start Season 4 in our first race with this brand new team at McLaren. Let's go see who won.
A beautiful performance from McLaren today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
So nothing changed there. Daniel Ricciardo and Gasly and Norris end up on the podium, and unfortunately in race number 1 with McLaren we have failed to finish there after a mechanical failure. And keep in mind, we only have a 16 race schedule here this season, so taking a failure like this is going to be a lot more significant than versus the 23 race schedule. So we got some work to do from this point on already after just one GP, which an unfortunate way to start the season, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it. So hopefully we can go into the next episode and fight back stronger in Imola. And I just thought about it as I'm thinking about Imola. We went all of last season in 23 races or 22 races, whatever it was, throughout our F1 career mode in season 3. We only had one race with legitimate rain, and that was in the Canadian GP, and it only lasted for about a quarter of that GP. The rest of the season was completely dry. We'll see if that trend continues this season, especially going into Imola, as Daniel Ricciardo starts off with a win for this McLaren team. We are on the back foot. Hopefully we can bounce back in Imola. Thank you for taking the time of your day for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one for the Imola GP. Have a great day, everybody.